Hello and welcome back to Simple Time Studios. Here we are again, the end of another long solo campaign, and another episode where I look for feedback while giving my thoughts on the game system I used. Ecunemonopolis of Mystery was played with a public beta draft of Intergalactic Heroes and a complete Everyday Heroes RPG rule set to plug in the gaps. Both are published by Evil Genius Games, with Intergalactic Heroes supposed to start its crowdfunding campaign sometime this year. IGH shares many of the core mechanics and DNA as Everyday Heroes, which we have seen previously during my Axeman Chronicles campaign. The public beta draft of Intergalactic Heroes is pretty much feature complete and playable on its own. I imagine we will eventually see a polished version of it re-released as a free demo to hook new players in. My 2 cents at least. Overall, I liked it. The version I used played well with Everyday Heroes when I needed the other rule set to plug in the few gaps I encountered, and I imagine Intergalactic Heroes will address those either at launch or through the inevitable rules expansions. Is many of the same flaws as Everyday Heroes, such as chase rules being somewhat clunky, but it works quite well for various cinematic, narrative-focused games, and fixes many of the same problems I had with the original modern future game Wizards of the Coast created back in the early 2000s. I definitely look forward to following Intergalactic Heroes when it goes live. That being said, I will probably not use it again for the Orion Commonwealth setting. Or at least I would be more particular with what kind of story I use it for. It works best for narrative-style campaigns, but games where I am randomly generating the world as I explore... I have other game systems I'd rather try and probably should be using. Maybe I'll revisit the universe with one of those instead. And then there was the Ecunemonopolis of Mystery I originally created for Dungeon 23, now 3 years ago. Of the locations Psion explored, the amusement park and the transit network were added for this campaign. The apartment unit, replicator mall, and city park were part of the original draft, yet Psion didn't even explore a fraction of what I had written for those locations. I tried to tease other points of interest to reinforce the image that there's more on this planet than a single explorer can see in one lifetime. And now that I've gone through it as a player character, I might go back and revise the dungeon to see what I can improve on. But that is a project for a later time. For the more immediate future, I plan on uploading a one-shot session, Dark Space Adventure, taking us back to the Grimmer Space setting. Then I wish to experiment with how well Tales of the Valiant by Kobold Press handles third-party D&D settings with a shorter campaign through Obajima, Tales from the Tall Grass. I also plan on experimenting with shorter solo campaigns in general in order to show off more games and play with more ideas. Beyond that, it's been an interesting couple months for me thus far. I still have ideas for a somewhat silly Cyberpunk Red adventure, but since I started playing through Psion's wanderings through the Ecunemonopolis of Mystery, a couple of things have been placed on my radar. Legends of Advantis has confirmed that Neon Odyssey is their next Kickstarter project, a campaign that will likely complete successfully by the time this episode airs, and a promising self-published space opera TTRPG, Tangent Space, has started to show signs of life again after being dormant for nearly 5 years. We will definitely be checking both of these out at some point. Other than that, I'll have to go through my bookshelves and open up the floor to questions. What do you think of the campaign, and what would you like to see next? Thank you, and have a great day.